Safety management is one of the few professions you can get into that gives you the skills and the knowledge to excel at almost any other profession within your company. In my opinion, it's a unicorn. Not that many people know about this as a profession. Think about it. How many people have you told that you work in safety and then you have to explain what you do? You don't need any special training or skills. Most people learn it on the go. They teach themselves, and most people are promoted into it. And you can make a 6+ figure income without a college degree. And it also gives you the skills to move laterally within your company or into other departments. So, why is this career a unicorn? Let me tell you. Hey there, safety friends. Welcome to the Safety Geek podcast. I'm Bryce Sargent, CSP and 20-year safety professional. After spending years training safety leaders across the globe for a large corporation and creating safety programs from the ground up over and over again, I am now sharing my processes and strategies with you. At the Safety Geek, you will learn how to manage an effective safety program that increases your management support and employee engagement, all the while helping you elevate your position and move up in your career. If you're ready to step into the role of a safety influencer and leader, you're in the right place. Let's get to it. Most people who come into this profession had it fall into their lap, myself included. It is either through promotion, through forced responsibility, where they just kind of give it to you and say, you get to do it. Or maybe you just have a few added tasks that are safety related. But very few people actually start out going, I want to be a safety manager. And they go to college for safety and then they end up graduating and then getting a job in safety. Most of the time it's the other way around. You're starting out because you got promoted into it, and then you end up doing the college degree later, which we will talk about in just a second. So then what happens is that once you get into this profession, you either love it or you hate it, right? And if you fall in love with it, then you start to see it as a career. And then maybe you see like, oh my gosh, my entire life I've been in safety, which is my case. I was a safety person well before I knew that it was a profession. Now, the starting pay for somebody who is promoted into safety is generally higher than a supervisor or most other jobs that you will find around. Like you do a search on Indeed, you could typically make more money working in safety than you can in a lot of those jobs. So another reason why it is a unicorn. Now, once you know the job, once you know how to do it and you know how to do it really well, and you start treating it like a career, you could quickly move up into that higher pay scale. So my students in Safety Management Academy, their average salaries are anywhere from 75 to 90,000 if they have less than 5 years experience. And many of them make over $100,000 a year once they've been at it for 10 to 20 years. Now, there are ways that you can shortcut that and maybe make that 6-figure mark within 5 years without a college degree, but that is not what this episode is about. But this is why I call it a unicorn, because it is just one of those professions that so few people know about. You can actually make that high level salary without a college degree. Now, I'm not saying you don't ever need a college degree, because at some point it is going to stop you. But if you are the anti-higher education type person, like you just don't want to go to college, or maybe academics is not your thing, or maybe you are of an age, because maybe this isn't your first career, maybe it's your second, and you're of an age where going back to college, you're not going to see that return on investment. My point is that you don't need the college degree to get pretty high up within this profession. And that is rare. Most other professional jobs out there, you end up having to have some sort of certification or degree or something in order to actually do the job. So this is what I try to warn everybody about. There will come a point that you not having your degree will stop your career growth. So I tell people, like, learn how to do the job really, really well and build your network. And then maybe just work on that degree on the back end, right? Like one course a semester or two courses a semester. But if you have a really strong network and you really know how to do the job and have that braggable track record of results, you can easily go pretty far within this career without that college degree. It's a unicorn. So another unicorn part about this job that makes it so amazing is all the skills you gain. Because to be a safety manager and to manage and run a safety program, you need to know how to train people. You need to know how to make training programs and do inspections and make sure that corrective actions are being followed through on and that all accidents are investigated. And all of these things can be learned, right? All the skills can be learned. But as you're doing the job, you're learning all of these skills. You're learning to work with employees and work with management. You're learning how to market your safety program. You're learning how to write your safety policies, your procedures, your JHAs. You're learning how to create reports that actually tell the story of safety for your workers. And you learn to justify your initiatives to create that business case for safety or to create that return on investment. And there's so many more skills that you gain being a safety manager. So as you have all of these skills, you have really beefed up your resume. In fact, I was just talking to somebody about my resume and they're like, oh my gosh, you are qualified to do almost anything. And it is true because safety gives you all of those skills to where you are more marketable in the job market. Like it is so easy for you to take these skills in safety and transfer it into whatever is currently being hired for. Because one of the things that I have noticed in my 25 plus years is that safety is the last department to be added to a company, and safety is also the first department to be removed from a company. So once they see that they're having safety issues and a lot of claims and injuries, they'll hire the safety person. But when money gets tight and the economy is bad or anything like that, safety is one of the first positions that they will let go of the management team as well. So it's really important for you to build up the skills so that way, if you ever find yourself in that position, you can easily move into another safety job, yes, but maybe something else that is more lucrative or maybe fits your personality, your environment, where you live better, right? So you can easily go work as an operations manager or an administrator or a salesperson or in HR. There's lots of things that you can do when you have all of these skills in safety. And in fact, this is another reason why I call it a unicorn position, is that it's very easy for a safety manager to move into operations, to make that lateral move within a company or into another company, because we as safety people need to know all the areas of the business. So it makes it easy for us to just like slide into an operations role, which is actually generates a higher annual salary. But when a safety person moves into operations, they excel. They are so good at what they do because they have all these skills built up in safety and they have an understanding of how everything plays together to make the department work better, because safety is one of the only departments in the organization that touches every other department. So similar to HR, similar to finance, but different than other areas, right? So like HR and finance, they touch all departments as well, but safety is part of everything that we do within a company. So whether it is the construction worker who's building the house or the skyscraper, they have to be concerned with safety. But the customer service rep who's answering the telephone, they also have to be concerned with safety. It's a different kind of safety, but it's still safety. The CDL driver needs to be concerned with safety, but then so does the salesperson, right? So safety is one of those departments that we influence all the other departments. So this gives you a keen understanding of the overall business and how all the pieces work together. I kind of like picture it as gears moving, right? And that the operations team sees their piece and the quality people see their piece and the distribution people see their piece. And yeah, the CEO sees all of it and the salespeople, they see the products, right? but nobody really sees all of it other than maybe you and the CEO and maybe finance, maybe HR, because their work oversees everything in the organization. So because safety touches all of these parts of the business, it makes you gain these very valuable business skills, which once again makes you more marketable on the job market. So making it that unicorn job. And I always picture like, here is this person who's working in a warehouse or is like a construction worker or is maybe working on an oil rig, and they know they need a safety person at that company. So what do? They go, hey, Joe, you're now in charge of safety, right? And he might be thinking, okay, what do I do? Or shoot, I don't want to be in charge of safety. But you were just handed a unicorn. You were just handed something that can take you from that hourly worker up to like a six-figure income in less than 5 years. All you do is need to learn how to do the job and do it well and start building a network, basically. So you might not be feeling this. You might not be feeling like, my office right here is not unicorns and rainbows, Bri. My office, I am treated more like a troll. And I get that. I've been there too. So I wanted to kind of give you some tips so that way, if you've been handed this role, what can you do to make the most out of this unicorn and make sure that it sparkles like it should? All right. So first, get really, really good at what you do. Invest in your own continuing education. The one thing that holds people back is that they will only go to classes and trainings that their boss will pay for. And when you are first handed the role, the boss is typically going to pay for like your 30-hour course, and maybe a few specialized courses, right? But then that's leaving you trapped. It's leaving you just with whatever they pay for. Personally, in my experience and the experience of people I've worked with, is that their salary skyrocketed once they made a career plan and they started paying for their own continuing education. So when you see those webinars come over in the emails, I know I see them myself all the time, like $89 webinar. If it's a skill you need to learn, then invest in yourself. Go to the seminars, go to the conferences, take the online courses, do Safety Management Academy. Shameless plug there. You're welcome to join Safety Management Academy, and I'll put a link in the show notes. But really get good at the job. The whole idea is to really know your stuff, so that way you are more valuable in that job market. Number 2 is building up a braggable track record of results. So you want to make sure that with everything you're doing in safety, you're collecting what the benchmark was. Where were you in this area? Like, what were the accident rates? What were the injury rates? What was the compliance rates? What were the costs before you made a change? And what was it afterwards? So that way you can then go to your boss for a raise and say, look at all this money I've saved you, or go to another company and be interviewed and say, this is everything I've done for another company and I can now do it for your company. And third, I would say don't stay in your lane. So a lot of people in safety, they just feel like, my job is safety. I'm just staying in safety. I'm not going to mess with quality. I'm not going to mess with operations. I'm not going to mess with whatever. What I'm saying is, don't stay in your lane. You want to insert yourself into all the other departments. So really get to know what their goals are, what you can do to help, and how your work affects their goals. So you want to just go to them and say, hey, do you need any help with anything? I literally used to do credits and accounting for our finance department. And when the recession hit, this was back in 2008, when the recession hit, I did not get laid off because half my job was doing accounting, and it was laying off somebody who worked in accounting as well as safety. So sometimes doing those extra little tasks, although it may not be part of our job, but going, okay, I can help a little bit with this. It gives you a better understanding of the business, but then it does secure you with some job security as well. But more importantly, you really want to get to know how all the other departments work and how they measure success. So that way, when you're building your business cases, you can see the impact that you're having. And lastly, just keep learning. And I don't mean just learning about safety. Learn about communication, learn about negotiations, learn about leadership, learn about coaching, learn about everything you can that would make you a well-rounded manager and executive, because that's where you want to get to in the future. That's where this career can take you. But if you just sit back and you're just waiting for somebody to say, hey, I'll pay for you to take a communications course, you're never going to get there. So plan your continuing education, know where your skills are lacking, and then make sure you're learning on those skills. It could be buying a book at the library and reading about it. It could be taking online courses. It could be like, hey, I'm going to invest, $100 a month into my continuing education. Because in the long run, it will pay off for you in troves. All right. So that's what I have for you guys this week. I do want to end with one little piece of advice, which to me is the most important piece that I wish I could convey to everybody. And when I talk to people, I just want to sometimes shake them and be like, it's time for you to go. But the most important thing I want you to consider is that, and if you truly want to move up in your career, if you are not in your dream job right now, if you are not like, you don't go into the office thrilled to go into the office. And if you're still thinking you're underpaid, or you're just like, they don't treat me right, I don't get the support that I need, unless you are in your dream job, then, and you want to move up in your career, then what I want to share with you is that you don't stay with one employer for too long. That company who promoted you into safety, you might think that you owe them something, that you have some loyalty to them because they gave you this safety job and handed you this unicorn. You might for a couple of years, 2 to 3 years, right? Oh, actually, I say 3 to 5. So 3 to 5 years, you stay at one company and then you move on, because that company who actually, because they promoted you into it, they were cheaping out, right? Because to hire somebody from the outside and bring them in would have cost them $90,000 plus. They cheaped out by promoting you into it, right? They're never going to pay you what you're worth because they didn't value the position to begin with. So it's always going to be a fight to get them to value that position. So learn what you can from the company you're at, get everything you can out of it. And after 3 years, start looking for a new company to work for. And you do this over and over again, because when you make those jumps, it gives you an increase in your salary. So, waiting around for that salary growth or them to finally recognize you or to give you that promotion, it's called sunk cost. Like, you feel like, well, I've been here for so long, they're eventually going to give it to me. That's not necessarily the case. In fact, in my experience, I have seen them hire from the outside over and over again over promoting internally when there is an issue. So when you are making that change, let's say it's been 3 years and you're going to go out and you're going to go into the job market, I want you to stretch yourself and start learning, maybe apply for things that aren't necessarily in the same industry. So you might like go into a different industry or learn something new or anything like that. So that way your resume, think about it 5 years from now, your resume doesn't just have one company in one industry. 5 years from now, it might have 2 companies in 2 different industries. And the next employer looks at it as like, oh, this is a really, built up resume. They got experience all over the place. They're valuable for me to have. And it allows you to make that next jump. So anyway, welcome to this unicorn of a profession. I know we're happy to have you. I love it. I've been doing it, since I was 20 something, too long. But I hope this helps you. And if you have any questions, pop them in the comments and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Hey, if you're just getting started in safety, or you've been at this for a while and are hitting a roadblock, then I want to invite you to check out Safety Management Academy. This is my in-depth online course that not only teaches you the processes and strategies of an effective safety management program, but how to entwine management support and employee participation throughout your processes. Are you ready to finally understand exactly what you should be doing and ditch that safety police hat forever? Then you have got to join me and your fellow safety scholars over at Safety Management Academy. Just go to thesafetygeek.com/SMA to learn more and to get started. That's thesafetygeek.com/SMA. And I will see you in our next students only live session. Bye for now.